Welcome to the latest part of my Perth lockdown tour. This is a two-part story involving King James VI of Scotland, later King James I of England, the first king of the United Kingdom, and the Earls of Gowrie. The Earls of Gowrie were the Ruthven family, and I'm standing in front of what was once one of their castles, Ruthven Castle, or the Palace of Ruthven. Now, this building was built about 600 years ago. Now, originally, it was a freestanding tower, the tower on your right. However, they later added a second tower, the tower on your left. And these two towers were connected by a wooden walkway just below the ramparts. So in times of danger, the Ruthven family could retreat from the old tower into the new tower, pull up the walkway and have a really good secure position. Now, after 350 years, as things became a bit more peaceful, the walkway was removed, the gap in between was filled in, and you get what is today more of a fortified house rather than a castle as such. Now, like so many castles in Scotland, this one has its very own ghost. Lady Greensleeves, Dorothea, the daughter of the first Earl of Gowrie. Now, Dorothea fell in love with a servant at a time that was not the thing to do. And she used to visit him from her bedroom in the West Tower, the one on your left, in his bedroom in the East Tower, the one on the right, via the wooden walkway. Now, Dorothea's mother discovered about this relationship, and one night she went across the walkway hoping to catch them in the act. Dorothea heard the sound of her feet, obviously couldn't escape back to her bedroom by the walkway because the mother was coming. So what she did, Dorothea climbed to the very top of the tower on your right and then leapt the gap 10 feet between the East Tower and the West Tower, getting to her bed before her mother returned to catch her. The next morning, Dorothea and the servant eloped. Now, we don't know what happened to Dorothea. What we do know is that after she died, her ghost used to be seen, or came to be seen, wandering about the castle grounds. In the mid-1500s, Scotland was riven by religious disharmony. I told you the story about John Knox and his sermon at St John's Kirk, just down the road in Perth. Well, at this time, we had a Catholic queen, Mary, Queen of Scots, in a country that was now Protestant. So that was a difficult mix. When Mary gave birth to King James VI of Scotland, she was forced to abdicate, and the young baby, only 1 year old, was pronounced king. Now, as a child, lots of the big families tried to exert his influence over the young king. As he grew into adulthood, he started to take back control, started to exert his own authority. And many people thought he was a bit too friendly with some of the Catholic lords. There was also a fear that his mother, the Catholic Queen, might return to reclaim her throne. And there were also concerns about the amount of money that King James was spending. He was profligate. He spent a fortune. And the young Earl of Gowrie was one of the people who the king borrowed money from. He owed the Earl of Gowrie 48,000 Scots pounds, which in the 16th century was a huge sum of money. Well, some of the Protestant lords decided that they needed to exert some control, some influence over the king. And so a group of these nobles, led by Ruthven, the Earl of Gowrie, they kidnapped the king when he was hunting here at Ruthven Castle. They captured the king and they took him into Perth to the townhouse of the Ruthvens, Gowrie House, which I'll talk about in the next part of the story. Now, the king, he was kept more or less a prisoner for a year, moving about different houses in Scotland, whilst these Protestant lords ruled the country on his behalf. After a year, the king was rescued. He came back to the throne in his own right, and initially was quite generous to his kidnappers. They were pardoned. However, he discovered that the Earl of Gowrie was still plotting against him. And so 2 years after his release, the king had the Earl of Gowrie beheaded. That's part one of the story. This relationship between the Gowries and King James VI was not a good one, and we'll hear the next instalment in my next video.